We will go on the record in the matter 24 CF 181, 24 TR 838, 839, 840, 896. State of Wisconsin versus Richard McVeigh. The state appears through District Attorney James Renicky in person. Mr. McVeigh appears in person with counsel Glenn Keene. We're set today in this matter for a plea and sentencing. The parties have reached an agreement. I believe the agreement calls for a plea to a felony. Is that correct, Mr. Keene?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Just for housekeeping, we'll waive reading of the information and understand that matches. Okay, Your Honor, the agreement is that Mr. McVeigh will plead guilty to escape and to the OWI 1 that is in 24 TR 480, and the escape is count 1 of 24 CF 181.
Do you understand that with regards to the escape matter, the state would have to prove on or around August 17, 2024, in Burnett County, Wisconsin, you intentionally escaped from custody, having been lawfully arrested for a crime, which is a Class H felony. Do you understand what the state would have to prove?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that upon conviction, you face a fine of $10,000 or up to 6 years in prison? Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand with the OWI first, the state would have to prove you operated a motor vehicle or a vehicle on a highway or roadway in the county of this state, well, under the influence of an intoxicant. And it would be your first offense. Do you understand what the state would have to prove?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you still wish to proceed and enter a guilty plea here today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Argument and sentencing recommendation, Mr. Renicky. And please include his criminal history.
Yes, I'm looking at Mr. Schmidt's notes. He's the one that both charged it and then negotiated the plea. So they're looking at for charging. Someone calls the police, said a vehicle chased and hit them while on an ATV. It looks like Trooper Olson stopped the vehicle first, noticed the odor of intoxicants from Richard. Richard admitted he bumped into a Christopher Hooverson, but it was minor. There was a woman in the car named Tina who said it was an accident. Richard and Chris were hanging out and says Richard accidentally backed into Chris's ATV. But then Richard tries to flee the OWI arrest. And then later on, when he's stopped by the police, he strikes a deputy in the face with his fist. Then he fled a second time while handcuffed. And then Tina was arrested for yelling at the cops as obstruction. I'm not seeing what Mr. McVeigh's criminal history is. Normally it's in the notes, but I'll double check it really quick.
Mr. Keene, do you know his criminal history?
Yes, Your Honor. All he has is 21 CM 246, where he pled to disorderly conduct and a battery charge was dismissed. So it's a pretty minimal history. There's some traffic stuff, but that's the only criminal charge prior to today.
All right, Mr. Renicky, argument.
I think this is fair and reasonable. He does have a minimum record. He doesn't have a felony record yet, but he did multiple felonies. So even though it was a minor, as far as the OWI being barely over the legal limit, he did catch a break because he basically tried to flee. Then he escaped and then he punched an officer in the face while the officer was doing his job. So it's clearly a violent and senseless act. I would normally say it was because he was drunk, but obviously just barely over the legal limit is barely drunk, but for whatever reason he escaped, he fled, and then he punched the officer, and then he was OWI as well. So that's what basically concerns us, but he does have otherwise a minimal history.
Mr. Keene.
Yes, sir. Just looking at the sentencing factors, looking at the seriousness of the offense. You know, there are several, and talking about escape and possession of drugs. It followed after battery to a law enforcement officer, obstruction, and then fought with THC, and then that this was brought on by a dispute alleged over an ATV. There are things that make it seem fairly serious. However, I think if you look at the overall character of Mr. McVeigh, this is his first felony arrest. He's 25 years old, and unfortunately for him, he was barely over by around 6 months afterwards. Otherwise, he would maybe be a candidate for expungement if he successfully completed probation. But it seems like it was more of a sometimes some mental health, and he's talking about going back into counseling, and he has shown up for court, taken accountability. It was sort of like a bad night. And then regarding the escape to which he's pleading, alcohol and idiocy are bad mixtures because, the escape was after he's handcuffed, traveling a few feet and falling down. It's not like, a manhunt or something along those lines. It was an escape, but.
Thank you. Mr. McVeigh, what do you want me to know? What do you want to tell me? What the heck were you thinking is what I want to know. That's what I want to know. What were you thinking?
I wasn't in my right mind. I wasn't thinking. I made terrible choice and I regret it terribly. And I remember being in here talking to you before, and that's extremely embarrassing. And I'm really sorry.
This is gonna carry you, it's gonna follow you around. Now, you have a felony now, Mr. McVeigh. What were you thinking?
I wasn't thinking about what could happen. I wasn't.
In how this played out, in how there was the accusation by, of all people, Mr. Hooverson, do you think he's credible? Do you think he is credible where anyone would believe that you hit him with your ATV?
I don't know. I got scared.
And you weren't using that very smart brain in your head, Mr. McVeigh. And now you are a convicted felon when Mr. Hooverson is now scot-free. But you need to apologize to each and every one of these officers because your behavior that day was despicable, disrespectful. It was so...
They didn't deserve.
They did not deserve it. And what do you think that you could do if you were arrested? You think that you could really get away?
I didn't. I wasn't thinking. I was being stupid.
Why the heck are you still hanging around here? Because now, unfortunately, like Mr. Keene said, you are at the age that you can't get this expunged unless the legislature changes the law, which unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think they should with certain things, like sometimes people are dumb. Sometimes young men's brains don't form until they are, I mean, they say 25. I'm going to tell you, I don't believe that for a minute. And what the heck is this allegations of THC? Not legal here in any way, shape, or form. So, Mr. McVeigh, I don't think I need to tell you. I think no matter what I say, you're going to be harder on yourself. Now, I want to hear what you think you should tell all of the officers, because I think this involved 4 officers.
Yes, there's a number of officers, and Gavin Anton was the one that got struck in the face.
Yeah, so
Gavin really deserves an apology.
There was Bridget Getz, Anthony Olson, Tanner Pardoon, Austin Spafford, Gavin Anton.
so there's, did I count, was that 6 or 5?
5.
5.
They're actually really nice people. And if it was any other, if I hadn't have been in the mindset I was in, that never would have. I owe them a deep apology because they didn't deserve any of that. And
They don't
I
put on the
shouldn't- I should have
uniform so
never-
they can get harassed and beat up and put their lives on the line.
they were just trying to help. And I panicked. I got scared.
So now I'm in the spot where I have to say, okay, what's the punishment for Mr. McVeigh? Because this is serious. And I don't think anyone in this room doesn't think that this is serious. You know that this is serious. This is you could go to prison today serious. Now, if you had an extensive criminal history and you had other felonies on your criminal record, most likely you'd be going to prison today. But lucky for you, you're a good kid who did something really stupid, who wasn't thinking, who for whatever reason thought people would believe something Christopher Hooverson said, that you hit him with your ATV. So you have a lot of making up to do, Mr. McVeigh, a lot of making up to do.
I just want to do whatever I can to make it right.
The thing is I don't think you're a risk to the community. I just think you were just being very stupid that day. And stupid is just the only word that I can think of. You just were not thinking. And as Mr. Renicky said, it's not the alcohol. You were not belligerently drunk.
It's just being stupid.
And I can't say that you were high. I can't, because I don't have any other lab results, anything to say that you were, and there's THC here. I can't say that there's anything that sent you in some psychosis. So I do think probation is appropriate because you have some amends to do. All right, you have some amends to do. I honestly don't really believe that 2 years, I think that could be a little bit too long. I don't know if you have some mental health issues to take care of.
I can make sure I'm seeing a counselor just to make sure and just cover my bases and make sure I'm staying healthy and staying clean.
You know, what I want you to do, Mr. McVeigh, is I want you to do what you told me, what was it, a year ago? I want you to get back to school. I want you to build your education. I want you to build your career. I want you to make something of yourself, because I truly think that you could be something better than this. And the great thing is that even though you are now a convicted felon, this isn't going to define you. It will not break you, or it doesn't make you. All right. It's just going to be a little hiccup in the road. You'll be able to get over that. It's going to be a little bit more work, but you can do it. All right. But you got to put in the work, and you got to do it. You have to do it. I want to see you do that. 1 year of probation. If you're revoked, this is serious. I think a year seems like a lot, but this is serious. You punched an officer in the face. So I agree with the 1 year of incarceration if you're revoked, because man, the officers did not deserve that treatment, that behavior at all, not one bit. And I'm not going to order it, because quite honestly, it doesn't mean anything if the court orders it, but it wouldn't be such a bad thing if you were to write from the heart some apology letters to every single one of those officers, every single one from the heart, because you want to know what, they put up with a lot. 1 year of probation, 1 year of jail imposed and stayed. Conditions of probation: absolute sobriety, no alcohol, no bars, no taverns, no casinos, unless you work at one, and only for work purposes. No use or possession of illegal drugs, substances, or paraphernalia. Wisconsin is zero tolerance state. No medical marijuana. So you want to use it, you got to go somewhere else. $1,087.50 for the OWI, plus a $10 blood draw fee, $402.50 for the felony. I'll waive all other costs and fees because you have $1,500 posted. It covers everything. I'm waiving the rest of the costs and fees. So at least you have me off your back, and now you just have to deal with probation.
Thank you, Your Honor. I couldn't put it into words how much I appreciate you and just what you say, because it means a lot.
I yell at you mostly.
It means a lot because you see more in me than even I do. So thank you.
Prove me right. Good luck, Mr. McVeigh.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else that I'm missing?
I don't think so.
Nothing here, Your Honor.
Was there a firearm warning?
Oh, no use or possession of a firearm now for life. No voting in any election until your civil rights are restored. All right? I think that's it. Thank you.